Yeah, it's volume. It's volume. But I mean, look, some girls, like, they didn't have to do volume because they were so popular that one client would book them for like extended dates, like, you know, a week or like 3 days. So yeah, I mean, you know, they were married, they were busy guys, very powerful.
Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I'm going to be interviewing Belen Enriquez.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So, what was your indictment for?
I was indicted for transporting women for purposes of prostitution and money laundering. There was more charges, but those are the substantive ones. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I always say bank fraud when it's like, I'm not going to list them.
Yes.
All right. So, and this was in what year?
2018.
All right. So basically you were bringing in, you were like a high-end madam bringing in women as to be escorts. I mean, I know you can correct me.
It's fine. No.
You know, over the course of back when was this? 2000.
So we started end of 2015.
Okay.
Up until more or less beginning of 2018.
Right. So for about 3 years.
Yes, for about 3 years.
All right. So, and you're from Venezuela? No, you're from Ecuador.
I'm from Ecuador. Yes.
Okay. So you're from Ecuador. You came here when you were 21 years old.
Yes.
And that was after you'd been going to school.
Yes. So I was in med school in Ecuador, and then I came here so that I could just, you know, because I didn't want to study medicine anymore. So I came here and decided to like just take another path in life. And, you know, I have a degree in management, and I have a master's in finance. So master's degree in finance. So
you came to the United States, and what were you doing when you came here?
Well, I was going to school, and I was also working 3 jobs because obviously, you know, like I didn't really come with a lot of things. So it was really hard. And I mean, not as hard as like somebody without their green card, but, you know, I had to make sure that I was able to, you know, support myself and get a car and everything else. So yeah, it was hard.
What were some of those jobs?
I used to work, I work at a doctor's office, and I work at the mall, and I work for like a store. So I had, you know, like my hours were crazy. I was working a lot of hours.
So when did you, and then you had, were you married at that time or?
No, I got married in, I came here in 2004, and I got married in 2012.
All right. And so you got married, and then how did you eventually get into, you were saying companions, right? You were a companion at one point.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, like I always kind of toy with the idea because, you know, I used to just think, you know, oh, this is possible. Maybe, you know, like this would be like an ideal job for me because I was going to school at the time. And I had a friend who also got in trouble, but I didn't really know the extent of her activities. She was a companion too. Right. And, you know,
this is an agency?
No, this is just like an independent companion. She was my friend, you know, when I was just like civilian, let's say. Right. That's what we call them. So, you know, like I knew that she was doing something, right? So with my idea of like, oh, you know, maybe that's like a fun job, whatever, you know, I realized, or she eventually told me that she was a companion also. So I'm like, okay, this is too much of a coincidence. And she's the one that introduced me to my ex-husband because she was the one that was used to take pictures with him.
Right. He was a photographer.
Yeah, he was a photographer. So she's the one that he used to take her pictures. So she introduced me. And from that point on, you know, like we became friends, whatever, and we ended up getting married. So
how are you getting clients? Like, I mean, is there a website?
Yes. So you advertise. There's several websites. Eros is one of them.
What's
you
it?
know, Eros.
Eros?
Eros Guide. Yes,
Okay.
Eros Guide. They are the main website right now. You know, sometimes like there was other smaller websites, P411. You have the erotic review, which is like the review website, like it's the Yelp for companions in a way.
Right.
So you can advertise there, but I think that, you know, most of the better clientele comes from Eros. Sometimes at some point Backpage too, but obviously Backpage, you know, had such a bad reputation towards the end. So, but that's, you know, that's where the good clients come from. So
you're saying, so you explained to me earlier that, you know, you and the other women call yourselves companions because basically escort, being known as an escort, has a bad connotation to it. You're thinking that as an escort, you know, typically it has some type of, there's sex involved, but being a companion, you were saying a lot of the times you're just going with somebody to dinner or on vacation or that sort of thing. Yeah,
I mean, and I feel like also people, like you said, it's right. Like there's a negative connotation associated to that. So being a companion is a more, you need to actually be more exclusive, upscale. You know, ideally you speak several languages, not just one. Ideally you went to college or you're going to college because you're going to be dealing with a lot of very powerful people that probably won't be okay with just somebody that doesn't really know how to socialize or you know, behave. So
I mean, I actually knew a guy when I was locked up. His girlfriend, there was an older guy, he was like 75 years old and he had been retired. His wife had died like, I don't know, 20 years earlier or something. And she basically, like, they went to Venice for 2 weeks. They went, you know, she was young. She was late 20s. And she's going with him to all these different places. And you know, he was like, yeah. And I was like, so she's like an escort. He's like, yeah, but she didn't sleep with him. And I was like, what? And he's like, no, he's 75 years old. Is, you know, she basically just goes with him. And, you know, she spoke a couple different languages. She traveled with him all over the place. And I was like, why would? He's like, I don't know. He goes, I'm sure he would, but I don't know. Maybe he was, I don't know. I was going to say, maybe she was lying to him, but the guy was 75. He was way older than her. And he, you know, he looked at her like a daughter or something. And he wanted someone to be there to hang out with him, to spend time with. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of times it's much more than that. But in that case, like, I just remember him telling me this, and he would, she just got back from Belgium. She just got back from. So
yes, and you get to do like incredible things in that line of work, right? Things that you probably just as a regular person you would never be able to do.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, people think that it's just about being, you know, intimate with clients, and that's not always the case because, you know, some people don't necessarily want that. Some people just want to be next to a beautiful woman at a restaurant or like go on vacation and, you know, like enjoy the conversation and you know, just someone that they can go to dinner with.
Right.
So and obviously that requires compensation. So that's the misconception.
Well, so but at some point you opened your own place.
Correct.
How did that take place?
Well, I mean, I think
you're basically running it yourself anyway. You started doing it for other girls, or women,
because I think that it's a normal transition, right? Everybody, like, you know, when you like something and you're pretty good at it, you're like, okay, let me scale up, right? I want to be like a business owner. I always wanted to be a business owner anyway. So my ex-husband was like, okay, you know, like, you're very successful in what you're doing. You know, I had a smaller agency that only did Miami, which, you know, it was much easier for me. But he was like, you know, I'm going to introduce you to my, you know, former business partner who's also on my indictment. So he's the one that connected us so that, you know, we can expand together because she was also his client. He used to take her pictures as an independent companion, and he used to take the pictures of the girls that work for her. So, you know, and in retrospect, I feel like he also did it to benefit himself, because the bigger we got, the more business he'll get, right? The more, you know, the busier he'll be, which, you know, ended up being the case and the reason why he got indicted.
Right.
So, but
I saw in the indictment that there was the photography business was money was being run through the photography business.
No. What happened was that by him referring, I mean, it's conspiracy. That was one of the charges too. So he did something to further our activities. And, you know, he was referring girls to us.
Okay.
So he was getting referral fees from us. So he was involved besides being a photographer. Okay. So,
well, I mean, I guess maybe I made that leap, because in the indictment, there's like, you know, there's this account had 400 and some odd thousand going through it. This account had, you know, whatever, 80,000. This account, like they were showing these different accounts that had money going through them, and it was in the same general area. I assumed it was through the
it's, you know, I mean, he laundered money too, because obviously he was getting paid with proceeds of our activities, and at the same time he was getting kickbacks from us, or like referral fees, and he was also taking pictures. So yeah, he was very involved.
So basically, so what did you do? You set up a website, and then you start what? You have the girls do some kind of a shoot. They put
So, I mean, you know, we run our agencies like regular companies, you know, in the sense that we had a website, we had an office, we had, you know, full-time staff, marketing. So mainly websites, and make sure that we had a great customer service. We had a lot of also booking forms. So yeah, it was pretty organized. It was, you know, very organized.
Right. So where were the bulk of the women coming from?
Mainly they were from South America. They were from Venezuela, Colombia. Some of them were from Europe. But yeah, I mean, they came voluntarily. Nobody forced them to come, you know, but obviously, you know, it's understandable that they were coming, because, you know, where they came from, it was really bad.
Yeah, of course.
So,
right. So they're coming in for what, like 90 days, and they work for 90 days, and then they go back, or
whatever.
Because Juan had mentioned.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, we never encouraged them to overstay. Like I always made that clear, because I didn't want to deal with them staying here illegally, working, you know, with us.
Then it's an issue for them to come back too. Right?
Yeah. And, you know, like, obviously, I wanted to make sure that we didn't have a lot of liability on that sense. And, you know, so they stayed for whatever time they got their visa for, or like be allowed to come for. So, and then they went back. They stayed in their country for a little bit, or do whatever they needed to do, and then they came back whenever they were able to come back. So what kind of
money are they making? I mean, what's
they made a lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
They made a lot of money. Like, some of them made like 10 grand a week.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, and not only that, I mean, not only they made money just because of their donations, let's say, because that's what we call them, like the considerations that the clients pay, but they were also getting gifts and different things. You know, the clients are very generous, so you know, so they wanted to make sure that the girls were happy, and they would get tips. So yeah.
Okay. So how long did this go on? I mean, were there any issues? Like what kind of issues?
We had issues, and mainly issues because I feel like some girls didn't understand that this was a real business. Right. This was not a fly-by-night operation where, like, you know, you set up shop and you're like start sending them clients. No, I mean, we were serious about what we were doing, and they didn't follow the rules. So they would be loud in hotels. So sometimes, like, you know, the cops will show up, or like they would not follow our safety protocols. So sometimes, you know, clients took their stuff, even though we told them, like, you know, they need to like secure their personal property, or they need to secure the donation. So, you know, like, yes. And there was times where cops showed up, but you just have to deal with it.
Right.
You know, or some girls were like intoxicated, which is something that it was frowned upon. So yeah, there were issues.
And the clients are coming from what, all over the United States? Like the girls are coming from all over the world. The clients are within the United States, or are they in other countries?
What happened was that we used to send the girls on tour for a week. So we would send them to North Carolina. We would send them to Pennsylvania. We would send them to Ohio, different parts of the United States. So like we had like a large list of clients. So because we did so much marketing, then the clients would go see them at their hotel like during that week.
Right.
So they would fly all over the United States. Like I had like sometimes 18, 20 girls working in 1 week in 18, 20 different cities.
And are you like arranging like their flights? I mean, are these, and the clients are paying your company and then you're arranging everything?
No, the clients, no. We would send them like weekly somewhere, right? So the girls they were responsible for taking care of their travel and everything else, because to me, that was the main crime, like facilitating or transporting them.
Right.
And I was totally against it, but you know, I'm not going to take less responsibility for it, because I fully knew that my business partner was on board for doing this, because sometimes they would be like, oh, I don't have any money. Okay, let us pay for your ticket. Let us pay for your hotel. And then you can go work and you can refund us. But I didn't want to do that. But, you know, it had to be done because otherwise they couldn't work.
So how are you getting paid? Like if the clients aren't paying you directly, they're paying
the girls, and the girls would go to the bank. No, the girls would go to the bank and make deposits every day. And that was the other problem, because obviously, you know, the banks were raising red flags, like suspicious activity reports, like they call it.
Right.
So they were sending this information to the government, because the deposits were, I think at some point they thought that we were doing structuring, but it was not like that, because obviously, like, you know, sometimes it would be less than $1,000 every, it was, you know, like minimal quantity. So they probably thought that, you know, we were running some sort of funky thing.
Structuring is when you try and cash a check. For instance, you try and cash a check under, or you get you're getting a payment of over $10,000 and you're pulling cash out, but you try and structure it in a way that you can cash out less than the reporting. Yes.
So you do it in small, like, bits and pieces of deposits. So that you don't walk in and say, I need 12,000 in cash, because you know that's going to be a CCR, or you know it's going to be a suspicious activity. So you say, give me 5,000, and give me a money order for this, and then 2 days later you say, give me another 3,000, and just to try and keep it. So when you said structuring, most people don't know what structuring is. Yeah, of course. So like I think that was the suspicious at the beginning, because they were like, oh, there's deposits for like, you know, like every day, like for 1,000, for 500, for 600 in different parts of the United States. So they were like, you know, suspicious of that. And then, you know, like they started closing our accounts. So it was very complicated.
Yeah, it's an issue. I know it's an issue. So, I mean, this went on for like 3 years. Like, like were there, I mean, did any of the girls get arrested?
No, none of our girls got arrested ever.
So what was the government saying that you had actually done that was illegal, that you were facilitating prostitution?
Prostitution is illegal. You know, it shouldn't be, but it is. Obviously I was breaking the law by facilitating them to commit prostitution. They were not forced, they were not coerced, they were like adults, willing adults doing this. But obviously I had some part of responsibility into making sure that they were doing that. So, and I was getting a benefit from their activities. So I was laundering money as well.
So how did the whole case kind of like
unravel?
Unravel, because I mean, you know, you're saying there were no arrests, like you didn't see this coming. Well, did it just come out of nowhere? Did you kind of
well, I feel like, you know, because all these women coming through the airport, really young girls that were coming frequently to the United States with no job or like no occupation from like Venezuela, Colombia and everything. They, you know, it raised red flags for the feds. And at the same time, I don't have confirmation of this, but I feel like that's one of the reasons. Eros Guide, the website that I was telling you about, they got raided. So when you advertise with them, you have to send your passport or your ID, so they know who you are. So I suspect that when they raided Eros, all that database and everything, the feds had it. So it was just a matter of time. Okay, like, you know, she owns this, here's her passport, and these girls work for her. So it was a matter of like matching that with like them coming and going, get stopped at the airport, probable cause of them committing prostitution. So get one of the girls, have the girls flip, and then we have everybody. And this is what happened.
All right.
Plus the bank and, you know.
Right, right. But, well, I mean, so did you know there was an investigation going on at any time? Or did you just one day, did you get raided?
We never got raided.
You got a letter to turn yourself in? What?
No, what happened was that, you know, like girls started to get like picked up at the airport. So we were like, oh my God, you know, this is not good. But we didn't
with a client or
no,
just
by themselves. The girls were coming. They weren't even working for me at the time.
Right.
Some of them. This is after the fact. They had gone to do their thing. I suspect that maybe, I don't have confirmation of this, but I heard that one of them was bringing drugs here. So in order for her to like get out of her mess, she turned on us. So, but I don't have confirmation of that. But you know, it's something I could consider. So so they started getting picked up. They started getting calls from the agents and everything, you know, and we knew that at some point we were gonna get picked up. Right. And we just kept working and we got picked up. So how did that happen? Well, it was May 31st, 2018. I used to live in an apartment in Midtown. So yeah, the feds just came knocking on my door. And the thing is, like, the crazy thing, my ex-husband got picked up. He didn't get picked up first. They did a search warrant at the studio and they got like his computers and everything else. But and our attorney at the time was the same attorney that was representing him and helping him with that. So the attorney was like, don't worry about it. You know, like, we'll take care of this, instead of being proactive and saying, listen, like, you know, they are after you guys. Let's like go talk to them. Maybe we can like do some damage control here. No, he was like, don't worry. Everything is okay. I don't think anything is going to happen. That happened in, I'll say, April 2018. And a month after, we got picked up. So yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. So you definitely knew it was coming. I knew it. I mean, it's weird because, like I told you, our attorney was assuring us that nothing was going to happen. They're the worst. They, you know, and even when I got picked up, I was like, okay, this guy claims that it's not that bad. Right. So maybe he knows something I don't know. But at the end, I realized that he was a con artist. So, right, you know, that was a problem too. Yeah, yeah. He took our, I mean, and if he's listening, I hope that he gets this bar because that's what he deserves for taking money from people and creating unnecessary conflicts and all those things. Yeah, it's a license to steal. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Okay, so today's podcast is sponsored by me. And here's why. We're looking at different ways to kind of generate revenue so that I can do more and more stuff on the YouTube channel and on YouTube in general. One of the things is I have a Patreon account right now. We're looking to kind of revamp the Patreon account and get more into it and figure out ways to generate income and more people to join the Patreon. We're going to do a tier system, and we're thinking about like maybe doing a weekly vlog. So do me a favor and let me know in the comments what you think I should be doing on Patreon or what you'd like to see on Patreon and the channel. Also, I'd like to also mention real quick that one of the ways I generate money and pay my bills is because I do have a degree in fine arts. I paint paintings. Here is Marilyn Monroe, big seller. People love Marilyn. And I have multiple paintings. Like I do these are modified screen prints. They sell for $285, and that includes me shipping them to you. So it's a straight $285 and I'll ship it to you. They're super cool and I appreciate it, and let us know. And so I think we're going back to the story. Yeah, it's funny because everybody thinks they're always like, you know, attorneys, they're always, you know, oh, well, I got an attorney. Yeah, but did you get the right attorney?
You know what I'm saying?
And that's very subjective. That's very subjective because obviously when you're in trouble, I mean, I was thinking the other day, I had 3 attorneys before we even got picked up. And they were all con artists. And then the 4th attorney was another con artist. So like, my only, my only history with attorneys was that, okay, maybe all of them are like that. But, I wasn't in trouble back then. And when I got, when I was in trouble, then this guy just, he completely screwed us. So.
Yeah. Give me $25,000. I'm friends with the or whatever, 50 or whatever. I'm friends with the judge. I'm going to get this quashed. It's not going to be a big deal.
That was another attorney. I had, throughout my case,
they have their lines.
I'm friends with your judge. I have lunch with your judge. I got your prosecutor his job. And that's another one. I hope she gets this bar too.
It's funny. I've met guys in Coleman that were arrested and they had the same attorney and they would get arrested on like a state charge that was clearly going to go federal. And the lawyer would say, look, I don't do federal, I do state. It's, give me this much money. I'm going to take care of anything that happens state. I've got you. Well, do you think it's going to go federal? I wouldn't even worry about it going federal because there's no way this is going federal. It's not big enough, but he already knows it's going federal. You're transporting drugs between multiple state lines. You got caught driving from Georgia to Florida with drugs. Like it's going federal, and they're 20 grand, and they take 20 grand, and they know that 2 weeks later it's going to go federal, and then they go, "Yeah, I don't do federal. I'm sorry, bro."
Or they are like, "Oh, I got your case dismissed." Yes, because the feds picked it up.
Yeah. They'll pick. Right. Yeah, I got you released. They'll pick you up. They're going to pick you up on the courtroom steps.
Yes.
As you're walking out of the holdover, they're going to grab you.
Yeah, and attorneys, I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I work for one who's very ethical, but most of them are very unethical because they know that you're desperate. They know that you don't want to spend a lot of time in prison. And they know that whatever you have left, you'll spend not to do that. And, they take your money, they disappear. They promise you things that are not even possible. And next thing you know, you're like going away for a long time.
Yeah. It's funny. My first attorney first time I got in trouble, I paid $75,000. And he was like, when I first talked to him, he went over the sentencing guidelines with me and explained to me that when he showed me the guidelines, like he's telling me what this line means, what this line means. He's like, you're right here. That's 3 years in prison plus probation. I was like, are you serious? Now, keep in mind, nothing changed in my case. So give me $75,000 and I'm going to try and get you probation. Gave him the $75,000. Now that I understand the sentencing guidelines and I look back and I know what the graph means, I was never facing prison. It was always probation. So he got me 3 years probation. But the truth is, I could have gone to a public defender and gotten probation. Yeah. I paid him 75 grand. I got 3 years probation, which I was always facing. But I was terrified. Like, I'm ready to give you everything I got to keep me out of prison. And, so, I mean, now now you know better. And hopefully I never have to talk to another attorney in that position anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like, look, it's important to pick the right attorney.
Yes,
really.
Very. Especially
I had a client. Listen, I know a guy one time. His family picked an attorney simply because he spoke Spanish, but the guy actually spoke. The guy actually spoke English, but he also spoke Spanish. So why would you pick an attorney? Who would do that? That's ridiculous. That was your. I wrote a story on a guy named Doug Dodd. His family picked his attorney because his first name was Doug. His dad's first name was Doug, and Doug's name was Doug. And he said, "Yeah, it's Doug. So I just felt good about him."
Oh my God.
And he paid him 40 grand. You paid him 40. You paid me 40 grand because his name's Doug. What are you doing? So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but like just to elaborate on that because it's very important, right? A lot of people like you, like myself, and some people they go and hire retained attorneys because of the name. No, that's not. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that either. I mean, maybe, but sometimes you don't ever know. Yeah, you hire the firm and then they end up giving your case to an associate. You're not even gonna get the main guy.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a few times.
So gotta be careful.
I know a guy that walked around Coleman talking about how he had Dershowitz as his attorney, but and he did, but you didn't have like Alan Dershowitz. You had like his cousin was like Tom Dershowitz, who also happens to be like, what are you doing? What do you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he can call him anytime. What are you doing? Anyway, so you got grabbed. Did you get probation? I mean, I'm not probation. I'm sorry. Did you get out on bond?
Yes, I was.
Really?
I was out on bond. Well, I mean, I had to wait because, again, my case didn't involve coercion. It didn't involve minors. I mean, it was like mainly money laundering and, transporting these women. At the beginning, my bond was, what was it? 250,000 with a Nevia condition. Yeah.
What's a Nevia? What?
Nevia is, you have to make sure that the funds that you're paying your bond are clear.
Oh, okay.
The funds that you're paying your bond with are clear. So you had a Nevia condition.
Okay.
Which we met. And then, I was out on bond for like 8 months. And then, I had to go back in again. So. And
you were sentenced to...
I was sentenced to 15 months by one of the best judges in the world. I love her. She's amazing. Yes.
You don't hear that. You don't hear that a lot.
I love her. She's the most amazing person. And I mean, thanks to her is that I got the time that I got, because had it been for my attorneys, I would have gotten the maximum. She is, an incredible person. She's very kind. She's very wise. And she saw it right through that, what they were trying to give me, what the government wanted, it was unfair.
What did the government want to give you?
My guidelines were 31 to 37. I ended up getting 15. Yes, 31 to 37 months. And I ended up...
First-time offender, 31, 37.
Yeah,
so what,
31
like 15?
To 37.
That's 15, about what, 10 to 15 years?
No, 31 to 37 months.
Oh, months. I thought you meant, okay.
No, 31 to 37 months. But still, for the conduct, it was excessive. It was a lot, because there was no coercion, nothing. Like adults...
No, and nobody's saying it's coercion.
They were willing participants. They were free to come and go as they please. But so the judge saw it right through, and she gave me, what's just,
what's reasonable. Yeah,
was reasonable.
I didn't get bond. When they caught me, I had 3 or 4 passports on me.
Yeah, I mean,
that was upsetting.
Fly risk.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I tried it. I told them, I'm good for it. I'll be here. I'm not going. No. Okay. So, where'd you do your time?
Federal Detention Center in Miami.
In the detentions? You never went to an actual prison?
No, because my security level, because of it's weird because, again, my attorneys advised me incorrectly to plead to something instead of the other thing.
Right.
So I pled to the charge that, because they have no idea about what happens in prisons or how you get designated or like your security level.
Right.
My charge, it's somehow a sex offense, even though it's not a sex offense. Yeah. It has a sexual component, but I'm not a sex offender.
Right.
So
do you have to register?
No. Oh. No, because again, there was no contact or no enticement or any of that.
Yeah, but the sex offender registry, it's pretty broad. Like they'll put anybody in it. Like you don't have to.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if.
I mean, and that was another mistake that was made at the beginning because my attorneys didn't read anything correctly, so they had to fix that. But no, I mean, but that caused me to end up like, my security level was higher, so I couldn't qualify for camp. Had I pled to money laundering, I would have qualified for camp.
Right.
But no, I had to go to detention center, which is like administrative facility, so it's a security level low.
Yeah. So where so how long have you been out?
I got out January 24, 2020. So about a year and a half. Yes.
And you're already working. You already have a job working for a law firm, and you're on probation, and you're doing well. Or
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm going to law school hopefully in August. So I was supposed to be in law school when this happened, but obviously that didn't happen. So I'm back on track.
Did you ever fight? Did you ever file a 2255 or anything, or you just? Said,
I wanted to, but because I was waiting for a Rule 35 because I cooperated. Then my attorney at the time didn't think it was a good idea because you're either with the government or against the government.
Right.
So creating 2255s is not going to get you a Rule 35.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So, all right, everything's Oh, all right, good.
I got a few questions. Just maybe might help with the title. I guess what is like the most money you'd say someone made in like whether it was a weekend or a trip over to America? Something like that, because like you title the video making certain amount of money. And,
oh yeah. So
just like that.
What's the most? Well, I mean, look, sometimes it could be 10,000 on a weekend. Sometimes it could be a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, depends on.
So there were girls that were making 10,000 a weekend, or? Yes,
I mean, obviously they had to. They have to pay the referral fee to the agency, but they got to keep a chunk of money. And that's the thing. We always took care of the girls. Right. We were never greedy. Like we always wanted to make sure that we told everything up front. But they were doing well, and that's why they kept coming back. We didn't keep them like prisoners or anything. They would go and come back.
So they're going. So they're coming to the United States for 90 days or so. And then going back to Colombia with 30 or 50 or 100 or 60, 70. I mean, I know some of the girls were making had made was it like 80 grand or some of these?
I mean, some of them made a lot of money. Right. Yeah.
And so they're going back to Colombia with 80 grand. That's like $400,000 or something in the U.S. That's a chunk of money.
And in retrospect, I'm glad that I was able to help them, have a better life, because obviously with that, some of them bought apartments, some of them went back to college, they were able to help their family. So yeah, a lot of, they were able to accomplish a lot while they were, working here. So,
Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the whole process, when something goes wrong or any crazy stories that
I mean, there's great, like I said, there was cops that, would knock on their door and they would freak out and everything. So
are they calling you at this time? Are they calling you to say, hey, the cops are here? Or
well, I mean, we retained an attorney that he was in-house counsel. So he prepared our protocol and everything. So they were supposed to call him, but sometimes, they didn't call him. They call me or whoever, but we had to tell them to stay calm. And sometimes in reality it wasn't even related to what they were doing. It was just related to
they're just drinking and being loud.
Things like that. Or maybe I mean I'm not gonna say that maybe a couple of times it was because of that, because they were not discreet enough, because we wanted them to not be walking around the hotel with provocative clothes, just be understated.
Right.
But isn't that inevitable? And, but you just have to deal with it and make sure that they are safe. That was, the main thing, that they don't freak out, that they don't feel like we leave them hanging. So, yeah.
So what's kind of the rules that you give somebody if they just started, a quick rundown?
Well, I had a code of conduct. I was reading that the other day, and, I was like, wow, I mean, I can't believe I even wrote this. But it's crazy. It's what they give you an introduction when you apply for a job or something.
Right.
So, well, I mean, they had to be look good, appearance, demeanor, be professional, treat clients right, because obviously there was reviews written, so you don't want clients to write negative things about them or us, because they would have been a mess. Just keep the rooms clean, because they were in hotels and sometimes they leave everything a mess. And always be safe. Always make sure that whoever we're telling you that you're meeting with, that you make sure that you're meeting with that person. Check their ID. Follow the rules, no drugs, no alcohol. You know, always constantly check in with us, talk to us, let us know, you know, you want to go on a break, let us know, so that way we are not messing up your schedule. And you know, and like just be responsible, because a lot of these girls unfortunately, like they, you know, they never had a job before, so they don't know how to behave. And you know, we try to train them and make sure that, you know, they were compliant with, you know, the rules, that they were there for a reason.
Right. So, but at no point when these guys are contacting, they're basically contacting them saying, hey, I need someone to show up and go to dinner or whatever. They're not calling up and saying, hey, I need someone to come by my place and have sex.
No.
That was if they did,
we would never book anybody that talked explicit in that explicit manner to us, because first of all, it's a red flag. You should never do that. And second of all, it's in poor taste. I feel like, you know, you should never do that. But because you wouldn't do it to a civilian, maybe. I mean, you would, but especially to us that we have so much liability. Why would we want to put ourselves out there like that? Could be a cop.
But they kind of know it's very possible this is where this could lead. Like, I mean, these girls
obviously, but if you think about it, even in the context of like the regular world,
going on a date or whatever.
What do you guys expect? Like, you're taking a girl out to dinner, like, you know, you hope that eventually, if, you know, the stars align, that something is going to happen. And, you know, we all know what's going on. But
are you suggesting that men take women out to dinner and buy them dinner expecting sex? I mean, that's, I'm not going to sit here and listen to that. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Of course. I mean, you know, like, but I mean, I'm not going to deny maybe some men want to get to know, you know, whoever they are taking out to dinner. But I mean, there's expectations, right? The girl expects to be treated a certain way. The guy expects to, you know, receive something in return. I mean, it could be that the girl kisses him. It could be that the girl holds his hand, but it could be that the girl, you know, if the chemistry is right, maybe they go somewhere.
So it's really, they're just saying, hey, wanted to come by, have dinner, be a companion, hang out. And then so nobody's ever saying anything about sex. They're just saying, let's hang out.
Well, I mean, look, and they had the reason why they stayed in hotels is because clients would come to see them in hotels it was an hourly thing. Mainly people book for an hour because these were really busy people. So the girls would stay in a hotel, clients would book appointments, and then we'll book them. Some of them were dinner dates. Some of them decided to take them on weekend vacations, but mainly they were hourly appointments. Okay. So, you know, volume, like seeing a lot of people. So
I'm a big fan of volume. So what else? Anything?
So your business, like what?
You're really very curious about this. It's, you know, something to think about.
So like how you had your business set up to an outsider, like if they look at your business, like what would they think it was?
I mean, they would think it's just a regular, legitimate business. And again,
like it's not illegal. It's not illegal to hire an escort to come and have dinner with you. That's not illegal.
It's not illegal to provide compensation like to compensate someone for their time.
Right.
Right. Because that's the premise that, I mean, I thought that we were safe in that area. But then when you have like, you know, like when that transpires into something else, that's when you're breaking the law. And obviously, you know, it's a catch-22. You're not compensating somebody without the expectation that something else is going to happen. Right. So, yeah, but, you know, that's a great area.
And I guess my one last question is, like, was there one point for you where you knew that it could scale, like, into a business, or, like, was there, like, a moment of realization for you that you knew that you could scale this?
Yes. I mean, look, we wanted to open as many agencies as possible. Even though we were the biggest ones, like we wanted to open as many as possible. We even thought about opening somewhere else in other countries and everything else. But it was very stressful too, because obviously you have to be responsible for so many women, even though you have staff. And at the same time, there's a lot of liability, because the more agencies you have, the more girls you have out there, you multiply the risk by, you know, increments of whatever. So, yeah, I mean, of course, because I was making a lot of money, I wanted to make more money. But at the same time, you know.
So how much money were you making? Like, would you say a year or whatever? What were you bringing in?
I mean, let's say that, you know, we were making about, I would say at least more or less like $1 million a year, I would think.
You're bringing that.
Yeah, but then you have but then like we don't profit a lot from that. Like we were getting that discount the cost. I don't honestly I don't really know like exactly. I mean, we made a lot of money. I cannot tell you an exact amount because a lot of things we paid our rents with and everything else. So like personal gain. I mean, we made money. But,
so you're saying like you're grossing around $1 million, but you're also paying out staff, you're paying rent, you're paying for things like that, right?
I mean, bottom line, I had a great life. I'm not gonna lie, but I cannot give you exact amount. I
understand. This is anybody famous?
I mean, there was a lot of famous people. There was a lot of important people, very powerful men. But I would never. It's not. It's our code. We cannot talk about it.
But I have to live in Miami, and I have to.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot of powerful people, but obviously, like I will always protect their identity.
So what is in general? I mean, I'm sure it changed subtly, but what does an hour cost?
Well, it depends. Like sometimes it would be $300 an hour, $400 an hour. Yeah, it varies. Yeah. Like the girls set their own rate.
Then obviously it's a
like it
charge.
Would be more like you multiply that by or it depends. Some girls wanted to charge more. I mean, they set their rates, but average 300, 350, 400 because you have to stay competitive. It's market rate. You're not gonna go to a place where the average is 300, 350 and charge 600 when maybe there's someone that looks like you that is I mean, you have to like analyze all these things and stay competitive because from our perspective too, we don't want somebody to come here and be like, oh, you sent me somewhere and it was not successful, so I don't want to come back. So we wanted to keep them happy. That was our main thing.
So the women that you're getting, are these like, how are they they're contacting you or?
Well, I mean,
or friends of friends.
We used to advertise. We used to advertise a lot too. In different websites. We had other contacts throughout like the world, let's say, that would like do recruiting for us. But mostly it was referrals, like from other girls. My ex-husband would refer us girls too. Word of mouth or, hey, my girlfriend wants to come.
Right.
And and we also, I mean, that's a crazy thing. We would also give girls referral fees. Like you send me your friend, we'll give you a referral fee too. So because we were fair.
So what was your split if somebody's making makes $1,000? What are you getting?
So we charge a flat fee for every appointment. So let's say that the girl charged $300, we took $100.
Okay.
So and sometimes for like longer dates it was percentage, but it was a flat fee because we didn't want to get into the whole like, oh, you're taking a lot of money from us. So it was flat fee, no confusions. Everybody knows what's going on. So then you're just
trying to work in bulk. It's just
it's volume. It's volume. But I mean, look, some girls like they didn't have to do volume because they were so popular that one client would book them for like extended dates, like a week or like 3 days or whatever. So some of them didn't have to do that, but that's that's how you do it.
Colby, you're all good. Do you want the name of the website again? Okay. All right.
I mean, I can give it to you. I have no problem. I have no shame right now. I have no shame.
Anything else from the peanut gallery?
What do I do with the other 52 minutes that I have left after I pay for the hour?
You just stare at the ceiling, okay? You just stare at the ceiling. No, and that's the thing. Like, I want to make sure and clarify that it was not like a sex romp. Like people are going to think like in an hour I can. No, that's not the case. It was never the case. Like I feel like clients appreciate being in the presence of a beautiful woman. So they want to talk to her. They want to hang out with her. Some of them would bring them lunch. So they would have lunch with them, like they did their thing. They would have lunch with them, or they would have a glass of wine with them, or they would talk about, the most random things that, but that's, it's companionship. Like, I know it's hard to understand and put that concept in their minds, but it's just not about sex.
I'm 52. I understand. I like that. Right.
Oh, he's your date. He's your date. Okay. Nice. We're leaving.
Anything? Nothing? We're good?
I mean, is there any similarities between all the like men that you had, like any characteristics that you noticed in like all of them, like they're just wanting like companionship, like what type of lives they lived, or
well, look, most of our clients were married, and obviously,
are you suggesting that a married man? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean they were married, and the reason why, I mean, look, things get complicated, right? Like, you know, it's easier to see a girl for an hour than to have a girlfriend that might text you at random hours of the night, and she's gonna get very emotional and dramatic, and she's gonna destroy your marriage.
Show up at your house. And,
yeah, or your wife is gonna find out, and then, you know, she's gonna take you to the cleaner, so you end up with nothing. So yeah, I mean, you know, they were married, they were busy guys, very powerful, I'll say, and they don't want the hassle. Like, they didn't want to deal with like drama. So, you know, go get someone for an hour. If they like them more, see her again. But just very practical, and, you know, professional doctors, lawyers, politicians. Yeah.
Professionals.
So,
These are professional.
yeah, professionals who don't have the time to have a girlfriend. Right. But some of them were single too, and very good looking and very successful, but they also don't want the drama.
athletes?
Yes, athletes too.
Now, was it just in Miami, or was this all across
all over the world, the
yeah.
country, all over the country?
Yeah.
So
I was just gonna say, there's a saying. It's like you don't pay a prostitute for sex. You pay her to leave.
Correct.
You know. So.
Correct. But see, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you know, it's practicality. Why would I want to deal with somebody that is going to overstay their welcome when I can just, like, you know, do what I have to do? And like I said, if I like her, maybe she'll stay longer.
Right.
So, but don't get me wrong, it gets complicated. Some clients want to have the girls as girlfriends. Right. And when you asked me about problems, that was one of the problems. That there's, you know, like either the girls or the clients, they don't differentiate between, like, you know, paid companionship and being a girlfriend. So, and then that can get really messy too.
Some guy who's making $500,000 a year at $300 is nothing. So
correct.
I actually
but I do expect them to tip though.
I read a memoir where this girl was seeing this guy, and at one point he wanted her to come and meet his family, and it was like, she was like,
no,
you're not.
Yeah, no,
that's not what this is. Like he, in his mind, like to him, the fee was nothing. It was like he stopped associating the fee with what was really happening, and he suddenly started thinking that it was a relationship. And it's like, it's not.
And that's when things get really messy, because obviously, again, the girls are a fantasy, right? The girls are a fantasy, so some of them are so good at the fantasy that the clients are like, wow, I mean, this girl really loves me and, you know, wants to be with me for the rest of her life. But, you know, like, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that people don't fall in love with the clients or clients don't fall in love with the girls, but, you know, it starts in a certain way, and you have to respect that. And that was my battle with the clients and with the girls too. I'm like, listen, you can't be like, you know, like, it's an hour, you book for an hour, you gotta leave. You want to stay more, you compensate her more. But some of them want to hang out with them all day thinking that that's their girlfriend.
Right.
It's not their girlfriend. So
if she got 2 appointments right after each other, if someone wants to go longer, like after their first hour, they can't? Well,
it depends, right? I mean, they're not back to back. There's a break. I mean, you know, like, to make sure that everything is perfect. But I mean, depends if this, you know, there's a spot available, maybe. But that's why we always tell the clients, listen, like, you know, if you feel that you're going to have chemistry and you're going to have a good time with this girl, or you really like her a lot, or maybe you guys get along, book in advance. Because we used to pre-book so many appointments before, because we used to advertise before. Sometimes, you know, like, they want to stay extra, they can. There's another appointment. So I'm not going to disrupt other clients' lives because this client wants to stay longer. You have to be respectful of their time.
One other question.
Sure.
As far as like the legality of it all, I know in America it's legal, but I'm sure in other countries it's...
No, in America,
it's illegal.
That's not what I said?
You said legal.
Okay. Illegal in America, legal in other countries. Like, what are your thoughts? Like,
there are some parts in America where it's
There's
legal.
only in Reno, in the Bunny Ranch or those dingy places that are horrible. I never been there, but I've been told that it's horrible.
Right.
I mean, maybe they are making it nice now. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's trailers.
It should be legal because
of trailers.
nobody should be able to tell you what you should do with your body. Your body, you should be able to do whatever you want. Like the same thing you do with your brain and your whatever. Like, some people use their brain to create things. You should be able to use your body whichever way you want to, as long as it's not something that, like it's in your detriment. Like, as long as you're not getting hurt.
I heard, and I'm not positive. Well, I mean, this is what I had heard. I actually saw, I read it, I forget, but basically in Russia, it must be legal because in Russia they did a survey of middle school women. This had something to do with sex, like in the world or whatever, just different people's viewpoints of sex. And it was somewhere like in Russia, Ukraine or something, where they actually did a survey of middle school girls. And like 30% of them, when they said, what do you want to do? They wanted to enter the sex trade. And they were like Americans have a vastly different idea of sex than most countries do. Like to them, it was like saying, I want to be a massage therapist. Like I want to enter the sex trade. This is 14-year-old girls in middle school that are openly saying, this is what I want to do.
I feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy in this country because, there's so many clients and some clients are politicians who probably oppose that this goes, I don't think legal would be the world. I would think it would be more decriminalization because I feel like when they regulate things get out of control. Just make it not a crime. That's it. I'm not asking for them to make it legal because then the government interferes with everything and ends up being a pain. So yeah, but I feel like sex, like the sex industry is so big. I think it's one of the ones that makes the most money in any country, especially here, because you still have porn. That's, pornography. That's another industry. You have webcams. That's another industry. You have OnlyFans, which to me, what do you think the girls at OnlyFans are doing? Like, yes, people look at their pictures, but I'm sure they get messages too. Hey, I want to meet you. Okay, it's going to be this much. It's prostitution.
Right.
But, people think it's not. But it should be, people should be able to do whatever they want. As long as they are adults and have, a decision, they are able to decide consciously what they want to do. They should be able to do whatever they want without government interference.
All right. What else are we doing? Is that wrap it up? All right. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
You drove here and from Miami, and I appreciate it. And this is Matt Cox. And if you like the podcast, subscribe, hit the bell, the notification bell, like the video, share the video, leave a comment for the algorithm. And I appreciate you watching, and see ya.